Your shadows reveal themselves when you are ready to meet them. Today, I am kicking off a new series, this one on shadow work, because in our previous series, the 9 levels of consciousness, we talked about the different levels of consciousness. And in it, I talked about how I personally do shadow work, and you are welcome to have whatever works for you. But for people who don't have a way that they currently do it, I wanted to share how I do it in case this would be helpful with somebody. But today, first, we're just going to talk about the concept of like shadow work. And the thought that was coming to me that I just wanted to start with, because I feel like this is really important, is you literally do not need to chase your shadows, okay? So you don't want to like sit down and be like, I want to better myself, so I'm going to sit down and list out all the things that are wrong with me so that I can address those, because I know I had this trauma when I was younger, so I'm going to address that first, and then this thing happened, and so I'm going to address that next, because that is coming from a place of force. So when we've talked about the elevated thought, and again, I have, of course I have a diagram. You guys know me. I always have a diagram, right? But for the elevated thought model, I actually have several, because there's different nuances that I like to portray with it. So I have the art version that's, you know, very pretty, that kind of visually depicts how it feels, you know, that open, expansive love up at the top, and then that like, you know, stormy, dark constriction at the bottom. Okay, so that's how this is depicted here. But I also have the simpler drawing one, and so for this, essentially, you know, if you picture, again, you've got the free-flowing stream up at the top, which is the unhindered state, and then you have the clogged up one at the bottom, which is the constricted state, and that is coming from a place of force. And force is fear-based. And so literally, when you are trying to force yourself to meet your shadows, like, I can do this, I'm going to search them out, you're doing it from a place of fear, which actually has a negative charge. Let's talk about polarity for a minute, because again, you get to choose the polarity of your perspective, right? So how are you going to view things? Are you going to view things as like, there's all these things wrong with me, right? Well, that's a negative charge. You don't want to do that. That is not going to behoove you. But if you come in and you are just loving yourself, and you are coming from a place of embracing yourself, realizing that every single one of us is a work in progress. The whole point of being here in this physical experience is to grow and to heal, and it's your soul's journey, right? So you're not supposed to be in a perfect state. The whole point of being here is to continue healing and growing. And so you go through these experiences, right? Because we've talked about embracing catalyst, right? So that is part of step 3 of intentional living, where you are assuming positive intent. So the things that happen to you that are challenges, you assume that they're for you, not happening to you, and it's how you can move through them, and then you learn and assimilate. And that's not to belittle hard things, because I've definitely been through my share as well, but it is taking your power back when you go through things that are horrific, because it is your response to it that you get to control. And so as you move through this, when it comes to shadow work, again, if you are coming from that place of self-love where you can just embrace yourself and know that you're a work in progress, then you can witness things as they come up. So for example, you might be in a conversation with a friend, and something they say hurts your feelings, and you feel this like, you know, negative charge that happens, and you don't have to get into a fight with them in that moment, right? You can take that offline and sit with that feeling, and think, okay, what is that feeling that I'm feeling? And then you begin to trace that back, and you do the shadow work for the things that come up when they come up, okay? So again, you don't have to chase your shadows, but when they come up, then you can process through them, because you can trust, again, coming back to elevated thought, when you are in that unhindered state, you're in the flow. And so you can trust that if something is arriving at you, it is now the time to go through that, right? So if you are going through a trigger, like, okay, now must be the moment for you to address the trigger. Wonderful. This is a great opportunity to rise above that and to bring some healing and to shed some light on these shadow areas, you know? And so again, it's the not chasing, it's the coming from a place of love and being kind to yourself, and then witnessing what comes up with curiosity and not judgment. And again, we're going to talk way more about this as we continue forward, but that is where I wanted to start, because when you learn how to do this, you can get kind of excited and want to go start chasing things down. But really, that is not the most effective way, because sometimes you're not ready to deal with something yet, and so then you end up messing yourself up more by trying to force it. So don't do that. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful to someone, and I look forward to sharing more with you on this. Have an awesome day.